Hi. Comfort can become a beautiful place to rest and restore. But, and there's always a but, it can be a dangerous place to live for people pleasers. You spend your lives in that very place doing whatever it takes to keep the peace. I was definitely one of them. I always stressed, and I spent decades keeping the peace through avoidance rather than truth with a capital T. I avoided my own truth in order to keep the peace. I followed everyone else's truth rather than my own. What felt like safety was actually the familiar rhythm of staying small, predictable, agreeable, unheard, and unseen. For people who have spent years, and in my case, decades, people pleasing, comfort looks like not saying what you really think because you don't want to disappoint anyone. It looks like staying in relationships because leaving would create chaos for others. It looks like choosing what is familiar over what is fulfilling, waiting until someone else agrees with you before taking the next step toward your own dreams, and keeping your gifts hidden and buried. So, in today's video, I want to share with you, dear heart centered friend, how I have taken going outside my comfort zone to the next transformative level. Thanks to my spirit guides kicking me outside my comfort zone again, I am now clear across the country in a place I'm getting emotional. I never knew existed until 6 weeks ago. And being here feels otherworldly to me. I am in Telluride, Colorado. I didn't know what it was. I'll explain in a minute how it kind of came into my experience. But Telluride is a high-end ski resort town that is absolutely breathtaking all year round. And I want to squeeze in showing you some of the video shots that I got of this beautiful place. In recent years, I have taken many spiritual journeys outside my comfort zone, and it was to retrain my mind so that I could think and live in healthy ways. And this retraining of my mind has totally lifted me up to the high road of prosperity consciousness, away from a victim mentality, away from limiting beliefs, and no longer living inside a box that my previous environment wanted me to stay in. I slowly but surely started choosing me and believing in my own worth. So over this last 6 weeks, Spirit has dropped into my path situations that took my comfort zone to next level parameters outside the limits I had set that controlled what I thought I was capable of. Stepping into that next level showed me the biggest leap into the unknown I have ever taken. I woke up on July the 1st, 2026, just 6 weeks ago, at the time of this video. I woke up in a quiet mind as my higher self dropped one word into my mind: Telluride. And I thought, what is Telluride? Spirit got my attention, and I just got the chills. I sat up and started my dialogue with my spirit guides to delve deeper into this word. At my unpleasant surprise, Spirit was guiding me to take a road trip to Telluride, Colorado. I was immediately resistant. Traveling was one of those things I had said after my last trip last September to England. I had said that I never wanted to take another big trip. I was burned out on traveling, and especially traveling alone. I told Spirit no, like a toddler would. I put my foot down. I said, there has to be an easier way. I said it out loud. I said to my spirit guides, find another way for me to accomplish what you want me to accomplish spiritually. I said it. I put my foot down. I went about my merry, comfortable life, waiting for Spirit to drop something easier into my lap, but to no avail. My guides kept after me. For weeks, I resisted this trip, but at the same time, knowing I would do what Spirit guided me to do. I wasn't happy about it at all, and I had to process all the feelings and limiting beliefs around all of it. By the end of July, I was more amenable to the idea. Then my guide started breaking it to me that I wasn't coming back. Let me say that again. My guide started breaking the news to me that I was not going to return to the place I currently had called home. Not coming back to that comfortable sanctuary that I had built out in the boondocks of North Carolina that I was so familiar with. And with that breaking news of not returning, the real meltdowns began. I was furious with Spirit. This is too hard, I said, through many tears. But at the same time, I especially knew I had to look at how I had created walls around the comfort of my laid back country life, my hermiting. My agreement to this big journey, which included moving, did not come without a lot of mental and emotional kicking and screaming. I really had to come to terms with how I wasn't choosing myself in my current situation. That's what Spirit was showing me. I was still choosing my family over what I really wanted and needed. And it was so subtle. I began to reflect on those subtle little ideas that had been popping into my head of going west. And I would ignore all those ideas because I felt it was impossible. It was when I agreed to explore the possibility that I discovered my daughter actually needed me to not be there in order for her own growth and expansion. That was through blood, sweat, and tears as well for me to make that realization. There was so much letting go for me to do around my relationship with her. For 23 years, the special needs child, I had tethered myself to creating situations for her so she would be happy and fulfilled. I just got the chills again. I was still in a codependent relationship with her. And now it was time for me to leave her. And I was leaving her safely, I finally realized, with all the practical skills I had helped her learn and develop. It was now time. I had been trying to get her out of her comfort zone when in reality, I needed to get out of mine. Taking care of her and being there for her was my comfort zone. I was taking up the slack when she didn't make certain choices to do things the way I thought would be ideal for her. There was a lot of grief there for me to release in the process of letting all that go. But finally, after 5 weeks, I was on the other side of processing and healing all of that. And I was ready and actually beginning to feel excited about the road trip and more accepting of not coming back. And Sarah was ecstatic about having the house all to herself. All that time, my goal was to get her out of the nest, but it was I who needed to leave the nest for my own growth and expansion. So it is the perfect situation for both of us, for the highest good of both of us. After all that transmuting of the old way of seeing these things, I have driven 6 hours a day for the last 6 straight days, and I am finally here. The unknown is now in the driver's seat and holding the steering wheel. That's all I knew for sure when I pulled out of my driveway in North Carolina, taking with me only what would fit in my car. I was attached to the comfort of having all those things. I only took what would fit in my car. And I knew at that point, when I backed out of the driveway, I would be gone indefinitely from the place I had called home. My guides, and I came back to add in a short clip of something that a synchronicity, a symbol that showed up while I was at the hotel in Kansas City, Missouri, I think. I'll put a picture of it here. And it was, I had taken my dog out, Blaze. She's with me. I'll show you a picture of her also here. But I was taking my dog out at the hotel, and I was drawn to two trees at the edge of the interstate. Um, and the trees just stood out to me. They were beautiful. They were old, maybe oaks, not sure about that. But they grew up very established and they joined like they were partners. And so I was standing there just taking in the energy of these two trees united. And my attention was drawn randomly to the right side across the interstate. There was a billboard. I'll show you a picture. And it said, "Come home, God." Like God was saying, "Come home." And it was important. There was something there, and it felt very energetic, very spiritual. And at that next moment, when I saw that and I was in my mind, I was going, wow. My attention was drawn directly to the opposite side. The sun was setting, and it was a brilliant color orange. It looked three-dimensional in the sky like a cheese ball, like a massive sized cheese ball, just above the trees, about to drop. I ran inside to get my phone to take a picture of it, but by the time I got back out, the sun was already below the trees. And that was just a significant moment. So I wanted to come back and add that as I move into what I'm going to say now, that Spirit uh, was guiding me about this trip. My guides told me not to plan anything beyond the drive, the Telluride. I had to learn how to pronounce it correctly. They said just follow the synchronicities that would transpire to lead me into my new life. That was so scary at first, you guys. But my guides are guiding me not to focus on the destination, but to just for now enjoy the journey. That's what we always hear, the old cliche, right? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And they kept repeating that. It feels like my reality is being upgraded, even though I don't know how or when exactly. I am transcending the reality I once knew as my life. And I am currently finding my footing for an experience that only Spirit knows is coming in for me. I have driven through, I think, 7 states. First, I drove north through the rest of North Carolina. Then I drove through the mountains of West Virginia. And I don't remember much uh, about Kentucky. Nothing stands out. Then I drove through a town in Indiana that I once lived in called Evansville. Only lived there for 8 months. And let me say that I never want to drive through St. Louis, Missouri again. And I'm afraid to say never because the same way I said never about never wanting to travel, here I am. But it was totally hectic driving through St. Louis. But I did enjoy driving through the rolling hills of Kansas. It was beautiful. And then all the way through southern Colorado, which reminded me of the Wild Wild West movies I had watched as a child, with its sandy soil and tumbleweed looking plants. Telluride is on the far west side of the state of Colorado. So it was 2,000 miles that I have driven to be here. And it is my hope that what I am sharing here resonates with someone. And I hope that you, that someone, lets it be, lets this story be an inspiration for you to see what you think you could never do, you can and should embrace because you can accomplish it. If I can do it, you can do it. Remember this: a visionary sees the impossible as the inevitable. Someone who became a billionaire said that. I'm not remembering the name at this moment. I'll say it one more time. A visionary sees the impossible as the inevitable. But back to the context of this content. Your greatness requires something your comfort zone will never provide, and that is your expansion. Your growth and expansion is asking you to be seen differently, to disappoint people, to make decisions without anyone's approval, to take that risk, to move without seeing what's ahead, to let an old identity fall away, to tolerate the discomfort of becoming someone you have not been before. And what I'm about to say is especially significant in healing. With people pleasing, what is familiar is your safety zone, also known as your comfort zone, also known as your control zone. The familiar pattern is keeping you from becoming who you truly are. So don't settle for asking yourself, am I comfortable? Ask the deeper question for profound growth. You want to expand. Your soul wants you to grow and expand. The question I recommend is, this comfort helping me restore myself, or is it helping me avoid myself? Comfort can be a good thing when you need rest because it's restorative. But if comfort is for avoidance, it becomes restrictive and brings stagnancy. It's keeping you from your greatness. Your greatness doesn't necessarily live somewhere far away. It's sitting right here, just on the other side of that dream you've been afraid to pursue. Make the effort to become uncomfortable by choosing the hard thing. You are worthy of the up level you really have been secretly wanting. And that is what I wanted to bring across to you today, my Heart Center friends. There is a part two to this story about what else transpired just before I left. I went out with a bang with the other rest of my family as well. And but that's for another video, another time, another talk, to be determined. We'll see if it happens, if the video happens. But right now, let me say, I am sitting in this hotel in Telluride, Colorado. And the hotel is actually, it was built in the 1800s, so it's gorgeous. It's very nostalgic. It's right up my alley, the kind of thing that Tina loves and enjoys. Spirit knows what I want. And so I'm sitting here. There's a beautiful background out the window of a huge mountain right out the window, but you can't see it for all the light. But I will say I'll end it here to keep it short as I can. It's already a little bit long. We see you. We love you. We are proud of you. And we trust and know you are doing the very best you can. Talk to you next time. Bye bye.